Okay, folks, today we're going to talk about a couple things related to site performance and accessibility. First thing we're going to talk about is meta tags. Meta tags go in the head of an HTML document. I've got an example here. REPL, the editor we use, automatically includes two meta tags for us. The character set, which is UTF-8. It's the standard just letters, numbers, and symbols that show up on web pages and stuff. Make sure you have that. Otherwise, you might run into a problem if um, are rendering something that's a little more complicated than just letters. Um, and then there's a viewport meta tag as well that's included. And this specifies what a site will do when it's on a mobile device. So it's just going to keep the same uh, width as the device. So if you're on a mobile device, then the width of the site is going to be the width of the mobile device. It's not going to give you like a horizontal scroll or anything like that. If I were to get rid of this and then tell the body to be like 1,000 pixels, let's see what happens there. So now I've got scrolling on the body of the website, which is probably not great for mobile users. You don't want them to accidentally be scrolling right when they don't need to be. Okay, so that's why the viewport is important, especially now in the day and age when lots of people are viewing websites on mobile. Okay, so those are the two meta tags that are included already. Let's look at the other ones that we need to know. Meta description. You can see all of these on W3 Schools. The meta description, what it does is it basically is a summary of your site. And this is something that's accessible to search engines. In fact, Google results often under the title of the page, whatever the meta description is, that's sometimes what they show. So I could put in something like, this is a site about web development, and there we go. There's my meta description. Okay, there are lots of meta tags. There's two more that you should know about, author and keywords. Now, back in the day, in the olden times, the keywords would actually do something for search engines. Nowadays, they don't matter at all. Just know that it exists. Um, uh, yeah, we don't ever use them though. And then the author tag, this is helpful for if you're working on a site in a team. You can specify, hey, I wrote this page, and so if there's a problem with the page, that way somebody viewing it later on your coding team, your development team, can get in contact with you. So those are the 5 major meta tags. These 3 are important. And the description is needed for search engines. These 2 are needed for your site to work properly, and then these 2 don't really matter unless you work in a team and you want to specify who wrote which part. Okay, let's move on. So site validation is basically the process of making sure that your site is following best practices. So you can go to this site, validator.w3.org. W3 is the World Wide Web Consortium. They're the guys who maintain W3 schools. They also maintain the standards for web development. So if I take the URL to my site and paste it in here, it'll tell us some warnings and errors. Okay, first one is a warning. Consider adding a lang attribute to the HTML start tag to declare the language of this document. This is helpful for screen readers and for search engines to know that, hey, this document is in English. And then, let's see, we got an error. An image element must have an alt attribute except under certain conditions. So always include alt attributes on images. This is a picture about web development. The reason is threefold. So first, if your image doesn't load, this is text that will appear in place of that image. Um, so for that reason alone, you should have alt tags on your pictures always. Another reason is this is what search engines use to index images. So if somebody were to search for web development, and if this picture had gotten a lot of use and stuff, then it might show up on Google Images or something. And then the third reason is for people who use screen readers, like those with visual impairments. They get websites read to them. So in this case, it would say this is a picture of web development. Okay. Then let's go ahead and check this again. Document checking completed. No errors or warnings to show. Awesome. So that's a quick thing that you can do with all your sites. Visit the validator and make sure your markup is good. And we talked a little bit about search engine optimization here. It's the process of making your site readable by search engines. So basically, rule number one is to write good content and make sure that you're hitting the topics that you want to hit. There's no real way to trick search engines into visiting your site. You can't really like type in Instagram.com a billion times on your page and then hope that people search for Instagram will also get to your page. Just write good content and make your website pleasing for humans to look at. That'll make it pleasing for search engines to look at. And follow the validator standards and such accessibility standards. It's making your site accessible to as many devices and people as possible. So that the viewport, that's making it accessible on mobile devices. The alt tag, the alt attribute was making it accessible to more people. And then you can use Chrome Lighthouse Audit to make sure your site is good to go in those areas. So I'm going to mess up my site just a little bit just so you can see a couple of the Chrome Lighthouse Audit things. So I'll make the background gray and refresh my page here. And then if you open your website in Chrome and go to Developer Tools, which you can open with F12 or Control-Shift-I, there is a tab up at the top. Hit the arrows. That is Lighthouse. And you can hit Generate Report. We're just going to do it for best practices, accessibility, and search engine optimization. And we're doing pretty good. Let's visit accessibility. So it says background and foreground colors do not have a sufficient contrast ratio. That's because I changed the background to be gray. It's kind of hard to read a little bit, especially if your vision's already impaired a little bit. So let's go ahead and change it back to white, refresh our page, and you can hit the clear all and generate report to do it all again. And boom, we're ready to go. So not all sites are going to be able to get up to 100 on everything, especially when you have more content than just a little bit going on. Like if you visit any major site like Amazon or Google or whatever, they won't have 100 scores in these. But it's good to try to make it get as close as possible because the guys who maintain the web, they'll give you feedback through these tools like Lighthouse and W3 Validator. And so we already took care of a lot of the search engine optimization audits by including the meta tags, including a title element, making sure we have alt attributes, all of that stuff that we went over with the validator will help us with this as well. So hopefully you feel a little more comfortable with these topics. Please add these to your information website if you're in my class. Make sure that all your image tags have alt attributes. Make sure that all your opening tags have corresponding closing tags. Make sure you have a meta description and that you're doing well on the Lighthouse audit. So good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. See you later.